Aloha, y'all. It is Friday, like I said, ruled by Freya. Freya's day. Friday, the 5th, rather, of February. It is a reg magnetic Skywalker guided by space, which is actually, I'm not going to say this right, but my partnership with Haley, our mutual, uh, our synastry, if you want to put it that way, in Mayan dream spell is I think it's red Skywalker. I don't think it's magnetic, but I forget now. Anyway, that's what today is. And it is a Manipura Chakra Day, Solar Plexus Chakra Day. So, this is about the fire of the willpower, right? Making things happen, feeling inspired, feeling clean, feeling active and able from a solar plexus standpoint, right? So, do the mudras. In this case, it's something to this effect at your navel, and you're kind of focusing like that, and Ram, R-A-M. Check it out. If you haven't done chakra work before, you will always be pleasantly surprised. But don't do it because, try it for yourself. If you don't like it, that's cool. If you do like it, thank me later. I've always found heavy, heavy magic occurring when I do the toning and paying attention to kind of stuff, simultaneously letting go in those zones. It's not about paying attention and being so discreet that you have to get it right. It's like, okay, I'm in this world, and relaxing into it and just like being that frequency in a sense. So, Freya's Day, Friday the 5th. Let's see what wants to pop. We've got the devil. The devil. Devil card. So, what is the devil? The devil is a lot of things. It's a trickster. It's a major arcana card, I should say, first of all. Everybody has this aspect in them. And in a weird way, culture has created it so we try to avoid death and shadows and all that stuff. This is the deepest shadow work. But are we giving into ego? Right? Stuff like that. And ask Haley. I've been trading cryptocurrency. It's worse than cocaine, I promise you. It's one thing to put a few $100 in a crypto like Bitcoin or Ethereum or something and just let it sit and kind of rise steadily. I was kind of doing the minute to minute trading with smaller cryptos like Ox and Ren and stuff like that, and made a lot of money, lost some money, right? It's like, oh my God. So I've already experienced the temptations of technology, which this card kind of gets into. So the Devil card, the major arcana, embrace your inner trickster, and that's kind of saying you have a playful, weird side. Don't just be a stoic asshole, right? You're not, holiness includes playfulness and childishness and ignorance. Giving in to temptations, making choices based on impulse rather than desire, like what I was saying with the cryptocurrencies, where I'm just like, oh God, I'm impulsively, I don't do coke, but it's like, it felt like that kind of thing where I'm just like, I'm chasing the distraction and I want to win. And it's like, oh my God, deceiving yourself, feeling hopeless. The devil, I am the master deceiver and it is time to break the spell. Set in the alluring psychedelic vision of a post-apocalyptic world, this card pays homage to the spirit of Bowie's Diamond Dogs. The devil is personified in a similar vein to Bowie's punk trickster Halloween Jack, but he is cast as an amoral being of artificial intelligence. You enter this domain at your peril, for he is the bewitching tormentor aided by mechanized demons and bizarre otherworldly guard dogs. He is the possessor of miraculous intelligence, acquiring, implementing, and building knowledge in ways far superior than humanity, and yet, without consciousness, has no empathy, no sense of right and wrong. The devil, the embodiment of general artificial intelligence, so engineered to amplify human intelligence and become humanity's savior, which is mirroring David Bowie's savior machine, i.e., the man who sold the world, helping to eradicate war, disease, and poverty, has become the double-edged sword. It is the ghost in the machine, the mind-body divide, head without heart. The emerald tablet, encoded with an ancient alchemical formula to positively transform and purify the imperfect human condition, is also now in his possession. Are we in grave danger? The ancient doctrine of original sin, where Adam and Eve are cast out of the Garden of Eden, having rebelled and eaten the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, reflects the mythological impurity and the division of union. The polarities of day and night become metaphors for light and dark, the conscious and the invisible, mysterious unconscious. Traditionally, the devil is conceived as the personification of whatever is labeled in a society as evil. Right, the bad guy, a threat, the scapegoat in that sense, a threat to continuity and the supposed power of the majority. He is the archetypal rutting scapegoat, the reflection of humanity striving for goodness gone wrong, the course of a pure spiritual life perverted. The devil is the great tempter, the voice of deception and corruption. For many cultures, sexual pleasure and ecstasy, especially out of wedlock, the legally sanctioned institution of marriage, are deemed sinful. Pleasure itself has been seen as unholy, the work against God, a dishonorable and addictive distraction. In the world of duality, when we create a force for good, we create an equal force for bad, quote unquote. When we consciously deny and push away our natural instincts in the pursuit of light, they push back. That's why spiritual bypassing doesn't help. If you're just like, oh, I'm all love and light, it's like, whoa, are you deceiving yourself? You have light and night in you. Don't think you don't. Even Jesus flipped tables and, wouldn't give time to the woman at the well at first because she was of another culture. Like, people have shadow sides. The devil is the trickster who secretly bewitches us, encouraging us to continue life debilitating behaviors that drain our resources and relationships. And that's how I felt this morning. I mean, last night and this morning I was so distracted by the general artificial intelligence of the crypto markets that it wasn't fun, but it was stimulating and addictive. And I could see why stockbrokers do coke and, live and die with the markets. This card calls us to examine that which remains hidden in darkness within the realm of the personality, that which we have denied or suppressed, believing ourselves to be wrong. Often feeling a sense of helplessness, failure, and loss of control, we are locked out of our own lives. So the devil is about embracing your inner trickster, giving in to temptations, making choices based on impulse rather than desire. So you're just doing it because you can, or are you doing it because you love to do it? There's a big difference. Is your soul excited, or are you just doing it because you're the monkey getting the buzz and hearing, your ego tell you good job, or even receiving pleasure from it? Deceiving yourself and feeling hopeless. Hopefully we don't feel hopeless ourselves today. Hopefully you all don't feel hopeless. But the devil card is very much about, it's both and. On the one hand, you can look at a positive polarity of this with a very Promethean kind of flavor where it's like things were static and this is a punctuation chaos event. That's very Promethean. Like, I'll give you knowledge of good and evil. In a negative correlation, it's like we were all perfectly fine, and this guy said it could be better. You could have more stocks. You could have that girl. You could go to this place and live and be happier. It's like the grass is always greener kind of effect, right? And that can debilitate us from enjoying what we actually have and being grateful for what we have. We could just all of a sudden be like in heaven in the garden and eating apples because we're tempted. And temptation isn't even bad. It's giving into temptations that are not helpful for us ultimately. So let's get a card for clarification. We have, there's even a serpent involved with this. Hopefully you guys could see this because it's a little there. Hopefully that helps. Serpent is death/rebirth. Oh my goodness. And the devil wants to tell you, you can't be reborn. You have one life to live. Do it all now or else you'll never know. That kind of energy. And that's the greatest lie ever. Death and rebirth. This is number 13, which is funny. It's a Friday, and Friday the 13th is kind of a thing, right? An unlucky devil card omen thing. It's not the 13th today, but where is this? Oh, no, it's not. It's number 8. What am I talking about? I was like, I can't read Roman numerals. Good God, I would not have done back in Rome. Or maybe I would have been adjusted to that worldview, I guess. All right, so death and birth. Here we go. The clarifier. This is about endings, beginnings, cycles, transformation, transmutation, change, and growth. And in a weird way, that is what the devil card shows. It's like you were in the perfect place and change and growth happened through the fall, quote unquote, in that mythological framework, right? So are we deceiving ourselves into thinking we can't progress? Are we deceiving ourselves into thinking that, all we are is this mortal coil and we have to live for every impulse and pleasure? That being said, pleasures aren't bad in themselves, just don't be addicted, right? So letting go of the past, the future is unknowable. Change is unavoidable. There is no going back. Allow yourself to mourn. Death/rebirth is a gradual process. Shed your skin, the dark night of the soul. Allow innocence to be reborn. Focus on the short-term future, a change in beliefs, attitude, or behavior. So meaning the death/rebirth card symbolizes cycles and change. Death/rebirth is the death of the old and the birthing of the new. And in a sense, the devil created a new world when people fell into out of the garden. There was a new world, right? And even it's talking about general artificial intelligence. That's a new world. All this cryptocurrency. That's a new world. All this globalized kind of swipe left, ship it with Amazon. All this stuff is very convenient, very impulsive. But are we enjoying our lives? Or are we just filling it with distractions and synaptic firings? I'm guilty of it, trust me. It is time to let go of the past and turn to face a new and unknown future with the awareness that there's no going back. It is time to begin again, sometimes with nothing but memories, and at other times with everything external unchanged, but with your mind so altered that everything seems different. Very psychedelic, right? If you do a drug trip, you come out the other side, you're like, well, I'm not any different in terms of like, probably you haven't lost your livelihood or your house or anything, but you're sitting there being like, I've been changed inexorably from the psychedelic experience or the meditation or whatever, the holy moment. Everything seems so different and strange and unfamiliar. It is time to pass from one stage of state or state of being to another, and to be transformed so completely that the person undergoing the change no longer recognizes themselves. Right? I haven't mentioned the astrology. I guess that would help. Derp, Mercury in retrograde hardcore. But the sun is in Aquarius, right? Which is this kind of high epiphany, Uranian energy coming to punctuating. So is as follows. Here we go. I knew I forgot something. Sun is Aquarius, Moon's in the last degrees of Scorpio. So this is actually about transformation at the highest level. Scorpio, in a sense, is the devil of the zodiac, where it's like, oh, I'm going to tempt you into sexuality and death and all this stuff. And death and rebirth is the transformation of that Scorpio energy. So we're actually becoming illumined with the sun in Aquarius. The moon in Scorpio, the last degrees, is the highest level of alchemy possible, right? We're like, holy shit, I guess I did drink, from the goblet or whatever. Mercury's in Aquarius, retrograde. Venus is in Aquarius. Mars is in Taurus. Jupiter and Saturn are in Aquarius. Uranus is in Taurus. Neptune, Pisces, Pluto, Capricorn, North Node, Gemini. That's a lot of Aquarius energy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planets, one of which is retrograde in Aquarius. And actually, they're all sextiling the North Node right now. Or trining, rather. It's air, so that's trining, not sextiling. So right now, we're actually in mode of destiny where we're moving towards new places and we cannot go back. New wine does not fit into old wine casks, as they say. Life as we know it has changed. Change can inspire many little painless deaths. Scorpio moon, death. And sometimes great deaths are born of intense loss that must be mourned before we can face the future with excitement and anticipation once more. The dawn will come, but you have to go through the night. There's no avoiding it. And you could trick yourself and lull yourself into being like, well, if I just drank and if I just smoked and I always have, if I always stimulate myself in a certain way, I'll never feel bad. And it's like, whoo, we got to be careful. That's the devil whispering in our ear, kind of saying, just have fun. And it's like, yes, life is fun, but it's like we have lessons here as well as here. You can't avoid that's one of the problems with society and stuff is like we try to avoid the valleys and just get the peak experiences, and that's not how it works. Death and rebirth. The loss of a spouse or a family member, the end of a long-term relationship or a career, retirement, the illness, or just a few experiences that can bring about death and rebirth processes. Ours is a perpetual journey of undoing, being, and becoming. It's the Ouroboros. It's the snake eating its tail. It almost is eating its tail, but it's not quite, right? And we're that holy thing in the middle, always transmuting. The death preceding rebirth can be quick and sudden or slow and painful. In the process of dying, everything in life revolves around the death, the pain, the suffering, the anguish, the loss, the guilt, the anger, the fear. The pain can be so real it's debilitating. The fear can be so paralyzing that it halts all growth and has one withdrawing from life itself. I tend to do that. I tend to get so scared about what to do. I just, fight or flight. I get deer in the headlights syndrome, which can be its own issue, but that's my karma, so don't sweat that. Right? We can withdraw from life itself. We could cycle around, analyzing, questioning, preventing our wounds from healing. This is the shadow of Aquarius. With all this Aquarius energy, are we just over-analyzing? Are we mechanical, general artificial intelligence? In a weird way, the snake, the serpent or whatever, comes up to Eve and he's like, you could be like gods. Instead of being like, be content and be happy for where you are, and maybe you'll punctuate to this eventually. He created a chaos event that caused transformation. Debatable if that's ultimately for our best. It happened, so you have to accept it, but in that mythological framework. But is it Promethean and for our best interest? Is it, Christian Judaism, where it's like, this is not how it was supposed to go when we got distracted? Only you, and both simultaneously, possibly. North Node of Gemini. We could cycle around over-analyzing, preventing our wounds from healing, refusing to accept that life has changed, and there's nothing that can be done to restore it to what it was. Uranus and Mars are in Taurus. The world is changed. Taurus is about values and our money, our bodies, very practical, grounded things at the first level of the earth signs. So it's like that's being shocked by electricity. That's being shocked by Uranus, chaos, and revolution. We're having a financial revolution. We're having an economic revolution. We're having a political revolution. We're having a health revolution. We're having a technological revolution. It's crazy the amount of changes happening. We're rebirthing into a very interesting thing. That stage of life is over, so let it go. There are only two choices: remain in limbo or accept reality, surrender to death, and be reborn. The rebirth process can also be problematic. It is not an instant process. Sometimes before we can soar, we must also learn how to fly all over again. Yes, our outlook can be positive, but the future is still unknown. Our beliefs have changed. Our perception and understanding of the world around us have changed. Our roles and purposes have changed. Our lives, the state of mind and being are not as they once were. We know that we are what we are capable of, but we first must learn and adapt to the changes that led to the little death in the first place. You're going to keep hitting those cyclic, hiccups if you deceive yourself and just think everything's always going to be the same. Everything is A-okay. In a very meta, all is one way, everything is exactly on schedule. Even these hiccups are part of sine wave yugas or whatever, right? It takes all kinds, but at the same time, you don't want to just be like, well, I'm always going to be prosperous and I'm never going to experience death or pain. I mean, Buddha came to his enlightenment when he left that, posh Paris Hilton kind of life and left and went to the real world and like lived on a grain of rice and saw death really in the face of people and saw suffering. And right, that's how he came. That's how he was reborn. The death and birth card, the death/birth card is all about renewal, regeneration, and new beginnings. Like the seasons, we are bound by a cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Like the planet we dwell upon, we experience seasons in stages: spring, summer, autumn, winter. Spring, summer, autumn, winter. You can't just always have one. Spring is a time of new growth, summer a time of fruition, autumn a time of letting go and dying, and winter a time of dormancy and regeneration. Autumn and winter can inspire feelings of loss and fear. We fear death and change because we do not know what comes after, but the truth is that we do know, but we are so accustomed to life as it is now that the idea of anything different creates resistance. There is, however, no halting change, and just as we know and trust that spring will follow winter, we can know and trust that after death we will be reborn. Death is just a gateway to a new reality, a new stage of life on your journey, while rebirth is symbolic of an evolving and expanding consciousness. And in a weird way, the devil card is an expansion of consciousness. It's like you were homeostatic in a perfect Garden of Eden, and chaos, deception, possibly punctuation and a positive polarity, creating new cycles. And the Ouroboros eats its own tail, and the song remains the same. And what is the song? Death, birth, life, regeneration, death, birth, life. It's like that's the song. It remains the same. It's a perennial truth. Perennial philosophy is like timeless. It's not culturally bound. Greeks have perennial philosophy. Egyptians have it. Mayans, everybody. And then everybody has their own particular flavors in which they're kind of basking in that flavor. So, death and rebirth. Ooh, yeah, guys, leaving home. Esasani. We are not in Kansas anymore. I think that I got to get on top of it now. Even Haley's, I know I'm laughing at it, but I'm like, this is like, I feel like Scarface when I'm on cryptocurrency trading. I'm like, oh my God, like I can't get enough and the world is not enough and I want, it's just the worst. It kicks in my ego, the devil card. But there's a process of transformation and rebirth going through this stuff with cryptocurrencies, with politics and all these things. And we're not in Kansas anymore. We're leaving home. We're leaving what we're used to. We can't go back. The new is coming. Like it or not, ready or not, here it comes. Ready or not, here I come, says the new age, the new aeon. Here it comes. So Esasani is as follows. 104, leaving home, parallel timeline. And 104, 1 plus 4 is 5. It's the fifth, stuff like that. Sinks abound. The Esasani are a cross between Zetas and humans, and they eventually had to integrate all their lessons, evolve as a species, and leave home. Walk into their own future and find their own path. Humanity is facing this challenge now as we struggle to find ourselves. You two are at this crucial nexus point of evolution, right? It's a critical part of the story when the devil tempts Eve or whatever, right? That's a critical part of the nexus of their evolution. It was a cause of the evolution in a sense. Everything was like stuck on awesome mode, and it was like, oh, we're going to enter in with polarity now, right? 5 does equal change. Good call, Haley. So we're birthing and dying constantly, always, but now I think we're in a very, especially with all this Aquarius energy, all this revolution energy, 5 planets, 1 in retrograde, Mercury is in, Jupiter, big changes, big revolutions, big epiphanies. Saturn and Jupiter, the world is electrifying, right? Uranus and Taurus, it's almost like a tower card where it's like, here's where it is in electricity of Uranus, all this electric Aquarian energy. The rules are changing, Saturn energy, where it's shattering the tower, and then out of that tower comes a new reality, right? It's almost like when you see like more old world or old towns in Europe where it's like, wow, they built on top of the ruins or whatever. Like Machu Picchu's built on top of something, right? It's on the death of that culture they were reborn, Machu Picchu. Anyway, leaving home. I'll continue. So we're facing this right now, and as we struggle to find ourselves. You are a critical point. We're all at this point. This is a beautiful yet bittersweet place to be. Paradox, right? North Node and Gemini, both and. The best of times, the worst of times. You must do your spiritual homework, make conscious and courageous choices, and find your own path. Aquarius, rebel, do your own thing. It's like Rogue One, the Star Wars movie, that's really good actually. That's not a it's like a new separate movie. It's part of the canon actually before A New Hope technically I think, but ultimately like right before A New Hope. That's why one in the first Star Wars movie from the 70s, you see Darth Vader on a ship looking for Princess Leia. This precedes that. So anyway, the idea here though is that we have to be courageous. She goes, I rebel. I choose to do this. It's going to be, it causes death and destruction and change. And she's part of this change that throws the, stick in the wheel, right? And that's leaving home. And even in that Rogue One, she has to, identity and home and not having home, all this kind of stuff comes up. Family, who we choose to trust. So leaving the fear, leaving the constancy of complacency. Do not fear who you truly are. This represents the potential for a new birth and the importance of consciously creating your future starting now. We can tap into the devil's in the details, right? In the sense there's like, and the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was to convince the world he didn't exist. We tell ourselves, our ego, our shadow trickster side is always like, you don't have to go do push-ups. Your body's fine enough. You can eat as much of that refined sugar as you want. Who cares? You only live YOLO. Put it all on 23 black. Whatever. You only live one, right? So this kind of, and that has a value, you could say, for punctuation, but you don't want to live in deception. You don't want to deceive yourself. You want to leave the old and pop into the new. And it's always happening anyway, so you might as well leave your comfort zone, leaving home, leave your presuppositions behind, and enter new territory. You might find that you shed superfluous beliefs. You might be, have all these worldviews and be like, oh my gosh, and then you go, oh, I didn't need any of those. And then, or you might be like, I'm just doing my own thing. I need to pop up new kind of beliefs and open my mind. It's different for everyone. Holler at me for a reading. I can give it to you and tell you the true and spit in your face and tell you what you need to hear, all in fun and kindness, of course. I love giving readings. People love getting them. Oh, we got Ganesh. Leadership. So in a weird way, right, the devil, here's a weird way to put it, the devil left home, right? Leaving home, he left heaven and was like, I'm going to rebel and go make my own fucking situation. That's, in a weird way, he's the leader of the fallen angels, right? I mean, this is a weird way to talk about this, but it's like, let's be our own leaders. Let's have our own revolutions inside of us, right? Because ultimately it's all us anyway. So we have to kind of laugh and play and do the thing. Number 10, that was actually, I believe, the gene key for today, but I could be tripping on that. And I got Arcturus, right? Haley 10. So 10's been popping for me all along. Leadership. There is a time to step forward and lead, and it is now. Aquarius. All this Aquarius energy is about charge into what? The unknown future with what? Genius confidence. With cool, have you ever seen, in the beginning of The Simpsons when Bart Simpson's like in school and then he gets on a skateboard and he's shredding through the city to get to his house or whatever, and that's how they get to the couch. That's where we're at. Bart Simpson is very Uranian, in a way, very kind of chaotic and rebellious, right, and trickstery, and the devil, right, of the whole Simpsons kind of world. He's like the tempter and the bad kid or whatever, scapegoat, and he's shredding through the town and he's finding a way. He's being a leader. It's like, eat my shorts, teacher. And then, right, well, that might be what the devil said to God, right? Where he's like, I'm ready to leave home. I don't need you. I'm going to go be in my treehouse with the dog and with my skateboard. And there's a process of rebirth and death always occurring. So don't forget that. But leadership is what we're talking about now. Be the leader in your own life. If you want something achieved, take the lead yourself. Be the example that others will follow. Do not lead by force, but instead by inspiration. And Aquarius is very much about epiphany. So once you get the epiphany, right? Once you see the burning bush in your own life, you'll go, holy shit. And then you should probably live that way. And then that will attract the moths to your flame of the people that need to experience that. You're not trying to be what everybody needs to be. You got to be what you need to be for yourself. And that will attract the world around you that you need to be experiencing. You're never not experiencing the world as you need to in a weird way, right? So the Hindu god, this is the mythos. The Hindu god Ganesha was shaped from the earth by the goddess Parvati. When her husband Shiva returned after a long time away from home, the first thing he saw was a handsome young man with Parvati. In his anger, he attacked the young man, severing his head. So in a way, he came home and he's like, fuck no, I'm going to kill that devil. Parvati then revealed who Ganesh was, and basically it's like, yo, this is just a friend, or son, or even whatever, young man. Parvati then revealed who Ganesh was, and Shiva sent his shoulders to return with the head of any sleeping being that was facing the north. This sounds very occulted and like there's some magic there. An elephant was found, and its head was attached to the body of Ganesha. The life of Ganesha was restored, and Shiva declared that from then on, this elephant-headed young man would always be loved by the community, and his name invoked as a joyful blessing prior to the beginning of major undertakings such as business developments, projects, and projects of all kinds. Right? When we're leaving home and we're in this pioneering spirit of creating new worlds, when we're leaving the old, letting it die and rebirthing anew, when you're leaving England and going to America, that kind of analogy, when you're leaving Earth and going to Mars, right? Know that you're taking your inner shadows with you, and don't deceive yourself. Don't be like, I'm perfect and it's all good. It's like, in a way, yes, but in another way, we can deceive ourselves and deceive each other with just, straight up foolishness. And it's a matter of like, what kind of flavor do you want to experience? The most difficult, the least difficult? It's all good. But the leadership, right? Today, Ganesh is the most loved of Hindu gods everywhere. Everywhere you turn in modern India, there's a joyful elephant-headed deity balancing on one leg, often riding a mouse, pushing away your worries and negativity and leading you towards the best path possible. That's what I was just saying. There's a spectrum of possibilities. What's the best path? Yes, there are two roads, many roads you can go on, but in the long run, you still get to choose, what you experience at the level. Elephants are richly represented in the mythos of Africa and Asia. Most tales speak of their wisdom and strength and their ability to guide through difficult circumstances. There are 3 species of elephant living on Earth at present: the African bush elephant, the African forest elephant, and the Asian elephant. All species of elephants have long, prehensile trunks that they use for breathing, food gathering, and communicating, and to collect water for drinking and washing. The trunk is also used in combination with the body for pushing objects out of the animal's path. Elephants have amazing padded feet that are designed to spread their weight over a wider area and enable them to move very silently considering their size. They vocalize both sonically and infrasonically, which means low frequency subsonic. Scientists have measured infrasonic communication of African elephants from 15 to 35 hertz, with sound pressure levels as high as 118 decibels, allowing communication for up to 10 kilometers through the ground. They're talking to each other in a way that is very ingenious. While humans may not be able to understand what these calls mean, they certainly perceive the vibrations. Elephants live in a family group and often join with other family groups to form large herds. Very Aquarian. My tribe, your tribe, make a bigger tribe, right? All this Aquarian energy, 5 planets, 1 retro, being Mercury. These are matriarchal and are led by an experienced older matriarch. She holds the landscape memory for the group, often being able to lead them to water in times of scarcity, and will be the organizer of defense if the group is threatened. Elephants are highly intelligent and demonstrate a rich emotional life. They openly mourn their dead and revisit the skeletons of those they once knew that have died, right? And even though they've left home, they've left a place they once were, right? They still go to the skull, the place, and respect the process that they were part of. Even elephants, y'all. That's why we've got to respect our brothers and sisters of all forms, all frequencies. The magic. Elephant magic is powerful yet calm. Super solar plexus, right? It's like super power. They have power. They're leaders. This is the authority of the fire of leadership, the willpower, right? It can be used when you wish to have obstacles removed or move out of a limbo situation. The indecision, right? Leaving home when you need that fuel to get out of the situation. Elephants are wise and take leadership, which is where they're... Elephants are wise and take leadership. They take initiative, solar plexus chakra, which is why their magic is so effective. If you wish to become a better leader or at least wiser one, or you would like to attract such a person into your life, ask the elephant to lend their energy to you. Symbology is elephant with a raised trunk, elephant-headed boy, warrior with an elephant head, elephant with a mouse. Status: African elephants are vulnerable, mainly due to poaching. Asian elephants are endangered due to habitat destruction. So in Africa, they're killing them and not treating them with respect because they're giving in to the temptations of the world, and they're saying, I want to be rich, and the ivory tusk's going to do that, right? And in Asia, the elephants' homes are being destroyed because what? We're so fucking greedy that we want all the palm oil, we want all, new condos, whatever, right? And it's problematic. They're having to leave home. Right, that's part of what they're endangered for. They don't have a habitat, so we need to be better to our brothers and sisters of all spectrums, galactic, earthly, and otherwise. So, I'm all hyped up. Jeez, you'd think I'd had coffee, but I haven't. So, let's get an art oracle card, shall we? We have Cindy Sherman. We're talking about transformations, rebirth, and rebirth. This will kind of tap into that a little, as you shall see un momento. And the elephant card was talking about matriarchies, and that's how they do. This is Cindy Sherman is a very strong feminine artist, which you'll see. I mean, it kind of creeps people out, and myself included. We're like, I don't love clowns, clowny clown. So it's kind of weird looking, but here we go. Very kind of Aquarius energy, but also Scorpio moon is about deep transformation through what? Weirdness. Even taboos. She's like, her boobs popped out, free the nipple, feeding a baby. Yep, somebody hit me up. My mom. All right, I'll deal with that in a minute. So, there's an urban legend that Cindy Sherman can go unrecognized at her own exhibitions, even though she's surrounded by photographs of, quote, herself, right? She's in her own thing, and she's so kind of bizarre and stuff that nobody even recognizes her. That's very Aquarian. She's in the group, but not of the group. In sophisticated costume, makeup, and prosthetics, as in ways to transform her appearances, Scorpio Moon, Sherman is the foundation for the wildly different characters, time periods, and stereotypes explored in her most known work, which tends to destabilize expectations of femininity and identity, right? She's being a leader. She's leaving the traditions of expectation of culture of what feminism means and women means, and she's dying to that and rebirthing, in a sense, new ways. She's being a trickster. Very much the devil card, right? And hopefully leading us into new appreciations of ourselves and our multidimensionality, women especially. Sherman shows equal conviction of all types of archetypes she portrays, whether the Hollywood actress, modern suburban family woman, or clown. Her work has been used to train law enforcement personnel in facial recognition in cases of clown impersonation. That's like a bad joke. So, don't be yourself, be yourselves, is what we're being told from Cindy Sherman, right? You have a dark side. You have a devil in you. So don't think, don't just be yourself. Have light and night. You have selves. You have a spectrum. You have many, maybe you have like 4 night aspects and 6 light aspects. Who knows, right? It's crazy. But we need to leave the ignorance, leave home, leave the security of the old life and rebirth into a new life. The cycle is permanent. It takes strong leaders to accept that and to be the way showers. We're here to show the way through ourselves, through our own processes. That's how other people know what's possible for themselves. It's not just saying, I know the truth and fuck you. It's saying, wow, look, I'm actually drinking the juice and it's working and it's available to you. That kind of energy. So don't be yourself, be yourselves. Very last degrees of Scorpio moon, where it's like we can transform our emotions. We can transform our world, Aquarius. We can have a new vision for what can be possible, quite frankly. So last card of the morning is, ooh, sexy. I like it. Smoky quartz. So you could quantumly entangle with this, and it's weird because it's like, I was talking about light and night. You got both. That's the devil of this quartz. If you're trying to be a pure crystalline vessel, that's the dark part, right? So anyway, smoky quartz. What it is, ranging from almost clear to nearly black, as are we all. Smoky quartz pairs the clarity-inducing vibes of clear stones with the protective do not cross over this line vibes of the black ones. Who needs it? Glass half empty types, space cadets. Space cadet is very Aquarian, right? I mean, they are the alien of the group. They're Major Tom. Can you hear me, Major Tom? Because Aquarians are up in their heads so much that they're engineering time machines and living multiple lives at the same time. It's craziness, right? Where to put it? On a chain around your neck. A chain around your neck. Or hidden in your pocket whenever you're certain to find difficult people in your path. Family dinner tables, conference rooms, subway cars, right? When the devil is in the details and you need to escape that negative energy, potentially. I just dropped a card. Escape that negative energy. Smoky quartz is what's up. When to use it? When you fall prey to emotional vampires. Guys, that's literally the story of the devil. Eve was having a great time at the fucking Club Med, a garden or whatever, and he's like, "Hey, have you tried this thing?" It's like the sleazy kind of salesman in the corner, right? When vampires, emotional vampires, Scorpio moon, unfortunately, can be emotional vampirism. When you fall prey to emotional vampires, when you're just too spacey and can't even, all this detached, aloof energy of Aquarius, right? Mercury retrograde, when you're just like, I can't do this. This is too much. I'm thinking about 40 things and they're all going every direction. When you're embarking on a spiritual journey, i.e., leaving home, right? When you're embarking on a spiritual journey, leaving home, and one of birth and rebirth and death and rebirth, or you're on a journey to pick up your dry cleaning, extra points if you're thinking, what's the difference? Arm your spiritual warrior, right? In a weird way, it's paradoxical because on the one hand, I think of the story of Adam and Eve, like that had to occur. The fall is kind of a metaphor for falling into human consciousness in a way. But at the same time, what if Eve had the confidence to be her own leader? I can't find it. To be a leader and not submit to that narrative, right? We wouldn't have fallen into this awareness of the death and birth recycle. We just would have been a part of it. But whatever, we had to leave home. And home is the garden, ultimately. Home is unity. We had to go from unity to separation back to reunification. And that's what we're doing in the age of Aquarius. And it takes leaders. You have to be your own leader. You can find inspiration from others, but ultimately you're judging yourself at the end of your life, not what fucking that celebrity did or that bad guy did, Hitler or Paris Hilton or Walt Disney or whoever, right? Whoever turns you on. So be the leader in your own life. Be your many selves. Know that you have many phases, just like humanity has, innocence to experience, to, um, hunter gatherers to city states. Like we have many levels of who we are. So be and explore that internally. Scorpio moon allows you to do that deep right now. You could tap deeply into the genius, Aquarius, of your emotional reality and your deep shadows. The devil, like you can meet the devil and make peace with him right now, kind of in a weird way. Arm your spiritual warrior. So you are a leader. You're a spiritual warrior set to go bold, go forth where no man or woman has gone before. Star Trek style, right? But that doesn't mean space is void of sine wave, of highs and lows, of triumph and struggle, right? So let me go ahead and jam on my electric guitar. All right, so we have the Devil card, which is cool. The Devil's the ultimate rebel, Aquarius sun, Scorpio moon. It's like, I will tempt you emotionally, Eve, and I will show you a new way, Prometheus style, if you want to look at it positively polarized. With the Devil card and, the Devil card in life, or birth and death and rebirth, rather, as the clarifier. I think we're actually slaying dragon, or we're transmuting dragons. We don't have to kill them, we have to make friends with them. So, let's jam. The devil is in the details. And it's funny because Mercury's in retrograde, so everyone's like, oh my gosh. Whether it's technology not working or me sitting up, late at night trading cryptos and biting my fingernails as I make pennies on the dollar or whatever. It's a shit show out here, but we're here, guys. We showed up for it. It's happening. You can't run from it. There's no hiding. We're in a rebirth process. So the devil. You get the idea. So, the devil. And it's kind of both and. The devil can lead us into our darkest shadows, but it can also lead us to punctuation events we never expected, right? The world after the fall of the Garden of Eden, or whatever that story says, is very different than they expected or imagined could be possible prior to. But guess what? It's this eternal recurrence, this rebirth, this dying, the falling into ignorance, death, and then being reborn. That's the trick that we tell ourselves, is that that's not happening. We put the blinders on and say, no, it's suffering. It's old Georgie, right? We can kind of be like, oh man, maybe I should just do that easy wrong over that difficult right. In a weird way, we have to even leave that perception of right and wrong in a sense, knowing that it's all good through the process of birth, death, and resurrection constantly occurring. Be the leader in your own life. Rebel from the good sometimes. Be the devil. Go from heaven to hell. Rise from hell into be the leader who leaves the matrix, right? And leave Plato's cave. Be that leader. Know that you have both all the light and dark on that moon, showing the phases of the moon. That's the beauty of the moon. It shows phases. It's not that there is no dark to the moon really. It's all dark. The sun is hitting in different shades, or angles rather, creating different shades of perception. You have that inside of yourself, right? Don't be yourself, be yourselves. So be your devil, be your angel, be your highest light, be your highest night. Integrate them, right? That's what real leadership is all about. Real leadership is all about. And you're on this eternal loop, just kind of like the loop going back behind me, of leaving home and finding it, leaving home and finding it, leaving home and finding it. And when I say finding it, you go, I'm here, I'm in the womb, and I leave, and now I'm in a new relationship, and now I'm in a new relationship, and now I'm in it's death, birth, rebirth. Know thyself and know thyselves. You're a multiple dimensional being. Ultimately, with smoky quartz, arm your spiritual warrior self. It's the sword of truth. It's the thing that's going to punctuate and cause Agent Smith's bullets to drop, and to not be even thought of as hostile. Ultimately, make peace with the devil. In that sense, hopefully that makes sense. Yesterday we had some cool podcasts, so check them out. Actually, one of my favorite podcasts yesterday was Elijah Parker. He works with Richard Rudd and the Gene Keys, but he also does some fascinating community work up in Portland, Oregon. Very cool guy. He has his own Oracle deck for the Gene Keys, which I have and use every day with my fiance. So check out the podcast. Hit me up for readings. I love giving them. People love getting them. So check that magic out. And the way I'm jamming right now, Haley and I have been talking. I should probably be making something of an option where it's like I'll pull cards, look at your chart, and write a song for you. And here's your jam. Here's your song. Maybe with lyrics, maybe just musical. Who knows? If that sounds like something you'd like, let me know in the comments, because that just kind of popped into my head, and I could do it. I do it anyway. So it's kind of synthesizing all these things, leaving the comfort zone, leaving home, right? To be a pioneer in new and different ways. Aquarius energy. So, holla for readings. Tell me your thoughts on that idea. Share this and like it or whatever if you felt moved or think you have friends that would appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed the music. That was fun for me. Hopefully you had fun. And ultimately, have a fun time knowing that you can't hide from the darkness. You have to integrate it. You have to leave your ignorance. You have to be born and die and be reborn constantly. And that's what we've asked to do as leaders of consciousness in a three-dimensional duality, right? Be your many selves and be your badass spiritual warrior self. Arm yourself with smoky quartz. You have what it takes. You lack nothing. Have a beautiful Freya's Day. Adios.